everyone, and welcome to this week's Active Project Live. We're so glad you can join us for tonight's conversation on accessible gyms and fitness. So, fitness can look different for everyone, but one thing we know for sure is how powerful movement can be in building strength, confidence, and community. Tonight, we're diving into what it means to make gyms and fitness spaces more inclusive and accessible, whether you're brand new to working out, coming back after a long time away, or just looking for a gym that really understands your needs. So a little bit about the Active Project Live and how this all got started. Last year, the Kelly Brush Foundation in collaboration with the United Spinal Association, started this virtual discussion group focused on adaptive sports and recreational activities. This group meets bi-weekly every other Tuesday at 5:30, and the hope really is that this provides a platform for adaptive sports enthusiasts to engage in lively discussions about various recreational activities. So if you'd like to get on our email list for any upcoming discussions, I'm going to post that in the chat. We also record these conversations. Um, so you can check back in, we post them on our YouTube channel, the Kelly Brush YouTube channel, and I also will post that in the chat so you can look at past discussions that we have had on various sports. And the Active Project is our digital resource for all things adaptive sports and recreation. So this is where you can discover sports, you can find places to try them, connect with peers. We have informational videos on dozens of sports, hundreds of organizations and their events, a member map. If you create your a login, the yellow are like people that you can connect with that are close by to you, and then programs and events are also on there. So it's a really great resource, and I also will post the link in the chat so you guys can check it out on your own time, and maybe even create a profile. Um, but we're excited to be joined by representatives tonight from large range of people. We have NextStep Paralysis Recovery Center, Staying Driven, Fit to Function, The Perfect Step. So thank you guys all for coming along. And we have lots of other individuals who are passionate about adaptive fitness. Thank you all for coming. And together we'll be sharing personal stories, expert advice, and practical tips on getting started, finding and accessing adaptive gym environments, and staying motivated along the way. So a little bit about each organization. We got Hal from The Perfect Step, a world-renowned exercise-based therapy center for individuals living with paralysis in California. Their facility, over 23,000 square feet, combines cutting-edge physical therapy with research, community support, and remote services, including a home-based program and train-your-trainer options. We also have Joel and Jeannie from NextStep Paralysis Recovery Center, an internationally recognized nonprofit network of community-based rehabilitation centers headquartered in Los Angeles with additional U.S. locations in Atlanta, Orlando, Kansas City, Raleigh, Los Angeles, plus international sites. Each center offers activity-based therapies, including locomotor trainer, FES, NMES, training and cardio strength programs. We also have Jenna from Fit to Function. Fit to Function offers one-on-one adaptive training for individuals with neurological conditions and a broad range of disabilities. Their Rosendale facility provides in-person sessions, while the remote video coaching program extends access beyond Boston. They also run group classes tailored for kids, new moms, seniors, and everyday athletes. And lastly, we have Steph from Staying Driven, a live interactive online fitness experience designed to be inclusive and adaptive, open to all ages, abilities, and skill levels. Staying Driven combines dynamic coaching with a supportive virtual community, making adaptive fitness accessible from anywhere. So this group is going to be very dynamic, interactive, and conversational. So please feel free to add your questions in the chat, raise your hand, just shout out. And we hope to hear from everyone. So with that, I will stop talking and I'd love to kind of pass it over to our guests to hear their point of view on what makes your approach to adaptive fitness unique compared to a traditional gym?
I'll go first if you guys want. I don't know how this is gonna work. So
Yeah.
did I raise my hand?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Good
Yeah,
shout
yeah.
out.
Yeah. So for those that don't know me, my name is Steph Roach. It's nice to be part of this conversation. I'm so excited to have gotten the invite. I have been wanting to connect with the Kelly Brush Foundation for a while, so it's very exciting. Personally, I live with cerebral palsy. I was born with CP. I don't have a spinal cord injury, but I have been working with many individuals with spinal cord injuries and learning along the way, which has been so much fun. Um, I am also a 9-year cancer survivor, which is very exciting. And I used to own a CrossFit gym in North Carolina. We owned a CrossFit gym for about 3 years. And then the pandemic happened, and one of the most incredible things happened to my business model, believe it or not. We ended up taking our CrossFit gym, taking a step away from CrossFit and going more functional fitness, going from a brick and mortar facility to doing everything virtually, which has become an incredible experience because not only has it become more profitable as a business, but it actually allowed me to employ people with disabilities from all over the world. So I have a staff of 6 other individuals that work for me, and 5 out of the 6 of them have some sort of physical disability, whether that be CP or some sort of SCI. And it's been a really incredible experience. Our Zooms look just like this one, but everybody is moving at their own pace. And regardless of where they live or whether they have, they're using cans of soup for weights or they're using 10-pound dumbbells, it doesn't matter to us. My background is always going to be the foundation of functional movement, but I took a step away from CrossFit as an actual business and turned my brick and mortar gym into Staying Driven Fitness. We also have about 6 different corporate organizations that we work with right now, as well as individual memberships. So if an individual wanted to buy a membership, it would be $30 for just an unlimited membership. And then let's say the Kelly Brush Foundation or one of the other foundations wanted to work together as a corporate organization, we would discuss what that fee looks like for your entire organization to have specific classes just for them, whether it be once or twice a week. So it's been a really incredible model coming from the brick and mortar space where I really felt like a complete failure as a business owner, going into this being now our 5th year in business and being a profitable business as someone with a disability feels really incredible. So if you have any questions for me, I'll be more than happy to answer them for you.
Thanks so much, Steph. And I also Uh, Also, congratulations on making that and getting your 5 year mark. I also wanted to I we have Dan on the call as well from Journey Forward. And Journey Forward is a 501 nonprofit dedicated to improving the lives of people living with paralysis through intense and full body exercise-based programs. They offer gait training, load-bearing work, guided exercise, vibration chaining, and electrical stimulation therapy. So thanks for joining, Dan.
Thank you, Diane. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Loud
yes.
and clear.
Great.
Um, yeah, so Dan, what
Yes.
is how do you guys kind of what's your approach and how do your gym make it unique compared to a traditional gym?
What to, oh, to a traditional gym. All right. So I'm coming in here a little blind. I'm not sure what to expect. John, I'm stepping in for John. John was going to do this. So what do you need from me? What do you want me to talk about? What we do at Journey Forward?
Yeah, yeah, what you do at Journey Forward.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, just like you said, where it's an intense exercise-based program, geared for individuals with paralysis. We are a 501(c)(3) nonprofit, but yeah, it's a full body approach. I broke my neck. It's been 25 years now, when I was 19 years old, and it was frustrating because I wanted, my ultimate goal is I wanted to get on my feet again. And I remember going to traditional PT and I felt like I was being taught how to live in my wheelchair, and I wanted to be taught how to get out of my wheelchair. And I wanted to be challenged. I didn't feel like I was being challenged. I felt that my therapists were working on, my strengths and not really working on my weaknesses or touching much of my paralyzed parts other than stretching, range of motion activities. So it was a joke. So ultimately, insurance just ends up cutting me off. So 3 years after I broke my neck, I moved out to California to a similar program. And I ended up walking out of there with my walker, as you know, Diane, 7 years after I broke my neck, which inspired me to come back to Boston, my hometown, and start Journey Forward. So we opened Journey Forward in 2008. And my goal by bringing Journey Forward to Boston was to give individuals an opportunity, not an opportunity to overcome their condition. What that is really up to them. My goal was to get up and walk again. Our clients, we have some clients' goals. Everyone wants to get up and walk, and let's face it, but there's so much that comes before walking. You know what I mean? Independence, a quality life. We have some clients that their goal necessarily isn't to walk again. They just want to be able to dress themselves, and be able to get in a car and drive themselves to and from Journey Forward, from the exercise sessions. And so whatever those goals are, that's what we do to help our clients the best we can to achieve those goals through an intense exercise-based program. It's a full-bodied approach, locomotor training, guided exercise, vibration training, neuroelectrical stimulation, all the above. And just like many of the other centers around the country, we health insurance does not cover the program. But Journey Forward does have a financial assistance program that was established on January 1st, 2013. And since that year, January 1st, 2013, we've granted over $600,000 to 61 individuals who
Wow.
otherwise couldn't afford our program. So we're doing all we can to assist those individuals who may not be able to afford the program because it does cost $110 an hour. We opened in 2008 at $100 an hour, and we've only raised it once in the 18 years or 17 years that we've been open, and that was just in 2022. Shortly after COVID, all our expenses around us, went through the roof. We lost a lot of our clientele due to COVID. So we took a step back for a few years. We're back right back to where we were, I would say now, but we did have to raise it from $100 to $110 an hour. We restructured the payment as well. We do the Locomat, which is $150, $125 an hour rather, and then we do the TheraStride, which is $150 an hour. Um, but that's what we do.
Yeah, thank you, Dan.
You
And
know,
that's where I go. I go to Journey Forward and absolutely love it. I feel like Journey Forward is similar in my mind to the Perfect Step or Next Step. I would love to hear from you guys.
I want to say actually one more thing, Diane, if you don't mind. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. One thing I do want to touch up on is just the exercise aspect is so important. You know, never mind walking again, never mind any of that. You know, just as you know, and anyone with a spinal cord injury knows, there's many secondary complications that comes with somebody in a wheelchair. Not even just spinal cord injury. You know, cerebral palsy. You know, MS, whatever it is. You know, sitting in a wheelchair 24 hours a day is detrimental. It's detrimental to the body, and your health decreases. And there's many secondary complications, but the exercise is so important. And the exercise is proven to decrease many of those secondary complications. Able-bodied people should be exercising. It's even more important in my eyes, someone in a wheelchair is exercising because at least an able-bodied person, they get the daily benefits of standing up, walking room to room, getting the blood flow, bearing the weight through their bones. Where someone in a wheelchair, they're sitting down 24 hours a day. It's even more important for them to be going, exercising, moving, and all the above.
definitely, definitely.
Thanks
All
for
right,
sharing that tip. I appreciate it.
no problem.
Hmm. But yeah, I feel like the Perfect Step and Next Step Paralysis is kind of similar um, framework than Journey Forward. What do
Yeah,
you
Diane, I'll
think?
jump in here. First off, honored to be on the call. Thanks everybody for having me and our team represented here from the Perfect Step. I think the origin story of the Perfect Step dates back to 2007, and ironically enough, this was right after I met Dan in Carlsbad, and Dan and I
Yeah,
share a mutual
that's
love.
Chad, right?
Yeah, of course,
What's
and
up, man? I knew I recognized you.
yeah, so Dan and I share a mutual love for the Red Sox, and much like Dan, at the time there was a lack of resources, particularly in the eastern greater Los Angeles region, the Inland Empire, as they call it. And for those of you that are familiar with the Southern California area, we could have 5 facilities here, and we couldn't cover the footprint of all the clientele that really needs to be served here in the Southern California region. It's a high impact, high density region, particularly for neurologically based populations. And as we know, people that are affected with neurological disorders might at times tend to flock to areas that have good climates, particularly if you're a spinal cord injury and you have thermoregulatory challenges. So the Southern California area at the time, I would say was kind of an untapped resource, and really who led the way was Project Walk, and then probably Next Step that obviously has built an empire in themselves and obviously stand on a longitude of a great history that they've built with multiple locations. But for us at the Perfect Step, I think the approach that we've taken really is to serve as an extension of the traditional medical system. So we have great rapport with a few local rehabilitation hospitals, and in particular with their physiatrists, which are their doctors of rehabilitative medicine, who oversee their neurologically based populations. And we've been on kind of a referral system with them that once their traditional paid for therapy runs out in their outpatient services program, they could utilize us as kind of a community partner entity to transition to. So I'm really big on geographics and proximity. I don't say this because of who's on the call. We get so many inquiries from people that are from the San Fernando Valley, the west side of LA, and my immediate response to them is go to Next Step, go to Core, go to ARC. I mean, quite honestly, all of us are providing high quality care, and honestly, we all know this in a cash pay model. Resourcefully, you've got to make your finances go as far as they can. And a lot of that will come at the expense of logistics, of transportation, time, obviously, we know people with spinal cord injuries, traumatic brain injuries, strokes in particular, cerebral palsy. I mean, the whole gamut really is going to probably need either transportation help or help of a family member, unless you get a pretty able kind of thoracic or lumbar level region spinal cord injury that can get to and from therapy on their own. So we've found kind of what we believe is our niche out in the Inland Empire. And um, we take an approach of really taking a closed chain exercise approach towards recovery, closed chain as opposed to open chain. Again, we can all probably have a great conversation about what techniques, what the methodologies, and what approaches work and what don't work. For our staff, we find that our approach works for us. And so open chain tends to focus on particular muscle groups, closed chain in terms of the fields of biomechanics and recovery is going to focus really on function and coordinated movement. So a closed chain environment. So basically taking the body and looking at it as if the body needs an end receptor to push afferent and efferent signals to and from the body. So we know signals that are going out from the body are in the form of sensory, or rather motor function signals, and signals coming into the body are sensory and proprioceptive signals. So what we've understand about the body and understood over the past 2 decades is that the body needs an appropriated input in the form of sensory and proprioceptive input coming from an external force, or in this case, a specialist, for ultimately the brain to make a depiction of what type of motor function output is needed to create something of controlled and volitional movement. Obviously, we know that that's the holy grail, is to produce neuroplastic change and to create neuroplasticity in the brain so the brain can regenerate new neural pathways over time. And how do you do that? You do that through high repetition and high volume, and you've got to do it with precision. And we believe in our methodological case that it should be done in a closed chain environment in most cases. So we create, in essence, kind of PNF, if you will, in many different kind of exercise movements and modalities to ultimately re-stimulate the brain's ability to produce movement on its own again. And hopefully over time, there's less and less hands-on movement, or rather hands-on intervention provided from the specialist and more coming directly from the client. So I guess our 3-phased approach towards recovery is rooted in load bearing, as we all believe and perpetuate, is a huge value to our clients for, I would say passive kind of bone density regulation, circulatory opportunities, and then obviously what comes along with taking an exercise-based approach is really going to lead to kind of the fitness orientation around all of it, which is going to help with circulation and obviously the musculoskeletal system. But the cornerstone of what we do is really creating these neurological patterns, which we call pattern neural activity recruitment, to ultimately try to recruit the brain to regenerate new neural pathways and become controlled and volitional again through certain movement patterning. So that is kind of what we do on the floor. And we have 11 specialists on our team here. Off the floor, we provide other services. We have a recovery room, which has 11 different healing mechanisms of therapies of hyperbaric chamber, sauna, red light therapy, cryotherapy, beamer technology, nano V technology, inflammation sleeves, and really that complements what we do on the floor with more off the floor passive recovery. We also have kind of an off the floor ARC-EX kind of offering now, as well as an RTI bike program. And what we've kind of incorporated into our suite of services is we have 4 on-site services that are not provided by us, but provided directly on site by community partners, where we have 3 marriage and family therapists on our team that bill through insurance. We also have on-site chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage services that are here full-time for our clients and their family members as well. So I would say that's kind of our approach model towards treating clients. But in terms of how we treat staff and how we grow and educate staff is equally as important. As we know, we're all trying to write a book that's never been written, and in particular, a book rooted in continued education for a field that has long been overlooked because they don't deem it as essential or traditional. But as we know, there's got to be a continuation of therapy once insurance runs out. And God bless the licensed skilled therapists. They've been a huge asset to us to grow and learn from and refer to. And transversely, I'd like to think we've been of value to them. But for us, we don't have and haven't had the luxury to hire one. Thus, we are a cash pay model. So for us, we've had to find different mechanisms of delivery for educational modeling for our team. So we've built out an all-encompassing certification system internally that has 4 levels of certification for it, that has continued education for the next really 48 months for our staff that they're learning through monthly. And we've just partnered with a university to become the first ever degree accredited program in the world for paralysis recovery specialty, and that will be coming in 2026 as a degree offering people will take and be able to take coming out of college to specialize in paralysis recovery and chronic care. So that's a bit about the perfect step.
Thank you so much for that, Hal. And thank you for what you're doing and all the extensive services you offer. We have a question from Ed.
Yeah, just a quick question for Hal. What is the difference between open chain and closed chain?
So really, this is just kind of an approach that, practitioners would take. Typically, you'd see this in an orthopedic setting, and you would see it probably more predominantly in sports-related injuries, but we can relate it also to what we do from a patterning sense. So open chain exercises are really going to be where there's a hands-off approach from the specialist, and that's going to focus more on functional-based movement, where if you have the intervention of a specialist who's hands-on and essentially closing the chain or closing the loop of, a particular joint or muscle group, that's going to be really focused more on particular muscle groups within that closed chain area. So we find that because we're trying to elicit a neurological response, that for us, up until the point that somebody has volitional movement on their own, a closed chain environment tends to be more appropriate in the early stages of recovery for somebody to recover. And then later on in recovery, when the specialist becomes more hands-off, open chain is likely a more appropriated approach for them to work it more on functionality, coordinated movement, multi-joint movement, gait training, etc. So so really you're talking the difference between function versus that of muscles, so to speak.
Thank you. Good explanation.
Good question, Ed.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing all that. It's so impressive to see what you guys are doing there. And I think it's nice to share that education with everyone. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Megan.
Yeah, you and Dan need to get together and franchise.
I think NextStep's got that in their back pocket, but that's there could be more that's talked about there. But yes, there is a kind of a national approach that we're taking right now to partner with medical fitness centers that could be coming soon, that I hope materializes and I'll be able to speak to.
Yeah, I'm on the East Coast, and Dan is the only show in town. And,
Let's hear from
I would suggest that, you continue to acknowledge Dan, but there is Project Walk New Jersey, there is Project Walk Boston, there's stuff down in the Southeast as well, including NextStep Core, NextStep Orlando. NextStep Atlanta. There's a lot of great places, but Dan's really got it going on in his neck of the woods, and he'd be somebody I'd really lean into if that's approximately.
I am a consumer of his services already, and thankful for it.
You're in a good place.
Let's hear from Jenna, actually. I'd love to kind of switch over that. I see some other people on the call as well. So Jenna, take it away.
All right, thanks. So my name is Jenna Murray Rosenthal, and I'm the founder of Fit to Function Recovery, and we're in Boston, so Roslindale, which is just the outskirts of the city. And we are a functional fitness facility that trains individuals with primarily neurological disabilities, but all range. And I'm a speech and language pathologist and a certified brain injury specialist. My trainers all have medical background, physical therapists as well, and CrossFit certification. So we are similar to what Steph was talking about. We have a functional fitness approach. So we started the program in 2019. We opened our own facility about a year and a half ago now, and we currently have 65 individuals with disabilities training with us one-on-one. So we don't have a lot of fancy tech or machines. We use functional fitness and the individual's body. All of our trainers are what we call our adaptive and inclusive certified trainers. So it's our job to kind of take functional fitness, so what functional movements that individuals do out there in the world, picking stuff up off the floor, squats, just sitting down and standing up, even like a burpees, just getting, a controlled fall, getting up when you fall. And we take those and we modify them and scale it to any individual's needs. So however you move is how we do the thing. And we use all of that to help people kind of find greater functionality out there in everyday life. The whole idea in starting the program was that sort of, so our slogan is better than good enough. Coming for myself, I worked for 15 years in acute rehabilitation and acute care with neuro, with stroke and brain injury and associated conditions. And knowing that insurance kind of basically, as a few others have mentioned, insurance will cut you off at what they say is good enough. And we know that individuals deserve recovery that is better than good enough. So we take all range of limitations and abilities, and that's kind of the quickest version I can kind of surmise what we do. So open to any questions if anyone has them.
Yeah, what's the name? I'm sorry, what's the name of your facility?
Fit to function.
All right. Yeah, where I actually live in Hyde Park with Journey
Oh,
Forward to Canton.
nice. Yeah, and Dan, I have some folks who also go to Journey Forward as well.
Oh, okay.
And have like come there or come back and forth depending on what things they're working on. Um,
Awesome. I'm gonna look into you. Very nice to meet you.
yeah, nice to meet you too. I've heard a lot about you guys.
Thank you.
It's so
Uh,
nice to get everyone in one place.
yeah, yeah.
And Jenna, I gotta come check you out. I'm in Charlestown, so
Oh
I
yeah.
come
Yeah,
visit.
come on over. Yeah, and we do serve, stroke, brain injury, spinal cord injury, MS, CP, Parkinson's, all kinds of rare neurological conditions. I got to a point where I get a lot of inquiries from folks who say like, I don't know if I fit, or I have X condition. I'm not sure if this is for me, and I sort of say, if you even have to ask that question, it is. And painted on one of our walls, it says that we do fitness for everybody and everybody. And sometimes I jokingly will say, like, you name it, we train it. Because there's no condition too rare or too unusual for us, because it's all about just meeting folks where they're at.
Are you strictly one-on-one training or do you do group classes or?
No, so we are primarily one-on-one training. I kind of joke that's our day job. And then in the evening, we have community functional fitness classes that are also led by adaptive and inclusive trainers. So while a lot of the folks in our group classes are able-bodied, a lot of our adaptive athletes also attend our group classes. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And we do virtual programming, Zoom sessions as well. So we have kind of a global reach for our athletes as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions until we move on? Because I would love to hear from Joel from Next Step Paralysis. Hey, Joel.
Hello. Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, thanks for joining.
Of
Um,
course.
and you guys have multiple facilities all across, are kind of, I feel like you're more similar to um, Journey Forward and Be Perfect Step. Um, that,
Yeah, I can tell you guys a little bit about history, next step, and kind of where we got started. So, similar to Dan and Hal as well, though I think Hal, they said they opened in 2007. Um, we were founded in 2008 by Yanni Corey. He's president of Next Step still. Broke his neck diving into hit a sandbar down here in the middle of a volleyball tournament. And this was in 2006. He ended up going to the University of Louisville to work with Dr. Harkema. So Susan Harkema is the head of research now at Kessler. Um, when he wanted to come home, basically found there was nothing in the South Bay and nothing in the area that was accessible to him. So he founded Next Step. The goal there was to take what they were doing at the clinical level and translate it into the community, basically creating access long term for people within the community to be able to funnel what had happened or what they were doing with research into this setting. So much like Dan, Journey Forward, we were part of the Neuro Recovery Network, which was a network of clinics and community-based fitness and wellness facilities. We were on the or community fitness and wellness side. And the goal is really to take what they were doing clinically, such as locomotor training, neuromuscular electrical stimulation, and standardize some of our guided exercise practices to create long-term, or at least an approach to long-term health and recovery. It was, I know, clinically, specifically for individuals with spinal cord injury, but we've translated that essentially into everyone with neurological diagnosis or complications. So we did start an expansion in 2016, which is when Kansas City, Atlanta, and Orlando all joined NextStep. They were all previous Project Walk facilities and became Next Steps. And then since then, we have Vegas, uh, Raleigh, and then we have two. Actually, we have one in Pittsburgh that we're working on opening now, and another one in Indiana. And then we have a few abroad. I think we have four in New Zealand and two in Ukraine. So yeah, that's kind of the next step origin story. We've continued to try and drive forward with the NRN created, which was that standard of translating what was going on clinically, right? And still we still do NRN standardized locomotor training. We still do neuromuscular electrical stimulation, and our guided exercise is based off of the principles that were standardized within the network. So something that we've just continued to try and drive forward and continue to create as much access for the population as possible. I think all of you guys are doing an amazing job as resources within the community, and it's what we need. We just need to keep driving more access and more availability to individuals. Like Hal said, if somebody calls from another area, there's somebody closer to them that's first on the list. Try and check out something in your general area before you start looking into maybe try and drive your resources a little bit further. Um, as far as memberships, we've functioned on a membership platform since day one. So that means is we essentially, if we have somebody that comes 1 day a week, they're on a membership for the month. So they're 1 day a week for the month. Our in 2008, when we founded, we haven't changed our prices since the day we opened. So we've just been basically trying to raise more and more money every year. I think at this point we have to raise right around $700,000 for this location specifically. Each of our locations is uh, they're independently operated. Basically, we have a licensing agreement, which means they're basically underneath our umbrella as far as marketing and things like that. But our licensing fee is very low. We're not trying to do this in order to I guess, kind of buy up landscape and market. We're really just trying to drive the process forward into the community and create as many of these fitness facilities as possible for people to have access.
Thank you so much for that, Joel. Appreciate it.
Thanks
Um,
for having me.
yes, always. And we do have a question in the chat. First, any programs in the Detroit area that anyone is familiar with, but I saw that Megan posted the member map, so definitely check that out. Create a profile, and then there might be something on the active project.
Yeah. With that being said, I sent that link, but if anyone on this call has recommendations, I'd love that as well. So
Yeah, yeah. Um, then you'll know of anyone I'll give it a minute before I move on to the next question.
with that as well, if you message people in the area, sometimes they also have feedback.
Yeah, true.
So you could do that as well.
And also any advice for someone who has had an awful experience with inpatient, outpatient PT. I've utilized the internet and experimented to teach myself everything I can do. I'm not fully independent. In addition to the SCI, I have a connective tissue disorder. These resources all sound awesome, but is the patient experience truly different? I'm a tad closed off when it comes to this stuff located in MA.
Michaela, I'd love to, if you're willing to speak, just learn a bit more about kind of I guess you could say your story and what that experience has been like for you when you reference some of the challenges you've had with inpatient, outpatient PT and maybe what you're hoping to get out of PT, and maybe I can kind of speak to that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard because I've met people that like I went to Spalding rehab and I had spinal strokes and a tethered spinal cord that caused my spinal cord injury. And then the connective tissue disorder is genetic, so I've had that my whole life. But I wasn't always diagnosed with it. But like I've met other people that have had like they say the best things about, their inpatient experience and then others are like, "Oh, no, like mine sounds similar to yours." I mean, I also have like POTS syndrome and rheumatoid arthritis and just kind of like so many conditions, which forget who it was kind of alluded to, like you end up getting just I kind of joke they're extra toppings on a Sunday when you have anything that just kind of piles on the stuff you deal with medically. I'm sure we all relate to that. But just like the people, the main issue, like inpatient, was we kind of didn't know what was wrong with me at the time, but also they didn't understand the connective tissue disorder. And so kind of that was the hard part. But then they were giving me like a very, I don't know the right word, like hardball approach to it. And like I was really sick at the time. And so it was kind of like I feel like it should have been like small goal and like not thrown me in the deep end and been like, try to swim, because that's what it felt like at the time. It was just not great. Um, and then outpatient, it was kind of the same thing. It was just like I feel like they were looking so big picture, but like I was like looking like hour by hour because like, pain, just like dealing with things and whatnot, if that makes sense. And then I had my surgery to detether my spinal cord after I got, the right diagnosis in February 2020, and then COVID hit. But it's just like then the people that understand the connective tissue disorder side don't understand the spinal cord injury. So it's like, you know, I mean, I've had PTs giving me exercises for my shoulders to be like, yeah, this will help you. And then all of a sudden I'm having a dislocation because what maybe would have been good for someone else actually led to instability for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, so there's definitely obviously some I think challenges there with and I don't mean to make this kind of an unhopeful response, but obviously, you're a unique case study, and I don't mean unique to be confused with different, but rather one of a kind. And I think you could either look at that as what was me or that you're incredibly special. And I don't mean to be forthcoming with just inspiration here, but I would use this opportunity, this platform to really kind of educate your specialist. And as you know, whether it's a specialist or a practitioner, um, you're likely going to have to be the doctor and they're going to have to be the student, so to speak.
Yeah,
You,
that.
yeah, well, I guess just to kind of belabor the point, to just give me a little bit more information, talk to me about your lower body volitional function. And if you are ambulatory or semi-ambulatory, do you have any pronounced goals there of ambulation and gait training?
So I don't know my exact injury level because my neurosurgeon she kind of said with the spinal strokes they can't tell, but at one point I couldn't take any deep breaths, so I mean it was definitely higher up. I kind of have like half my core function. And I have like some movement in my right leg and a little bit in the left, but it doesn't really do anything. I fail all the strength tests that they have you do when you see neuro, if that makes sense. Like even my right ankle, like if you're resisting it, I can't do it. Like I just spasm. But I am able to flex that foot like just with no resistance, if that makes sense. Um,
So you would say that it presents more neurologically than it does orthopedically.
yeah.
Okay,
I
because
mean, like I don't bear weight. I haven't bared weight in it'll be coming up on 7 years. It'll be like 6 years that I haven't even stood up, or been stood up because the POTS syndrome element, to that. I couldn't tolerate it last we tried, but I was also a lot worse off just with my check engine light, I joke, was on for a long time, because
sure.
I deteriorated so much, if that makes sense. So as we all know, you don't like bounce back like that. So it's taken years to kind of have the stamina. I mean, I'll do like sports and biking and like rock climbing and activities. But I mean, I taught myself how to transfer, floor transfer, like everything. I just kind of one day I fell out of the chair and I was like, I'm gonna just see how long I can get back in, and just figured it out. So I mean, I have the resilience. Um, Taught myself how to get out of the chair so I could play with my now service dog's litter of puppies. So I had a good goal for that. But
Michaela, if I can just jump in, I don't mean to cut you off. I just
oh, go
want,
ahead. Yeah.
I was looking at, I had answered your question in the chat, but I
Oh,
just wanted to, no, you're all good. I just wanted to respond to your, like how is it different, right? Like I had this awful experience kind of thing. And I just wanted to add like at least and I think others may be able to speak to this, but the way that we approach things in our facilities, it's like it's not clinical, right? It's not an assessment, it's not insurance driven, it's not some goal set by someone else or some standard that needs to be met. Like when we think about fitness, like functional fitness is about how you move and how the experience of being in the gym makes your life better. And not to say that the injury, the diagnosis, all of that doesn't matter, but in essence, like people have a lot of diagnoses that don't mean the same thing in how they present, live their lives, how they feel. And so when we think like what's functional fitness, it's like, well, what do you need? What do you want? How do we help you feel better, get better, move better, live better? So if that's something, and it sounds like that's what you're doing. You're like, how can I make my life better? I'm going to figure this out. I would encourage you to give something like a functional fitness facility a try because it's not like rigidly based and driven by insurance. It's like, what do you need? Let's do it. So
okay.
hopefully that helps a little bit.
Thank you. Where are you guys again?
We're in Roslindale, so Boston.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not independent with transportation and stuff, so that's, throws a wrench into it as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Thank you for
But
that. Yeah, one thing I couldn't stand about like the inpatient and outpatient was like just they'd like shove a goal down your throat,
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
and then you can't do
Exactly.
it, and they're like, "Why couldn't you do it?" And it's like, because I didn't think I was ready for that anyways.
Yeah, right. And that's driven, and part of that's driven by insurance, right? Being like, I have to meet this standard so we can keep the payer happy and keep the person here. And I think hopefully as you're getting further away from that, you're able to find some experiences that feel a little more like this is the thing I need and will help me get what I'm hoping for. And so I hope any of these orgs or anything else in your area may be able to help you with that. But always happy to help or answer questions if that's useful.
Yeah, Michaela, I think just to echo that statement, that is definitely like an appropriate answer of not to deter you away from the traditional model of care where there's highly credible people that are licensed skilled therapists, but something you should know and understand is that the billable units of model of care that they're billing against the Universal Medical Code has certain kind of roadblocks of how far they can push therapy. And when they're billing under certain medical coding, literally there's only specific exercises that they can apply towards your injury or diagnosis. So they are kind of boxed in, not by their acumen or knowledge, but by the system itself. And so the second you get to kind of an environment where you can get to something that's more activity-based therapy approach based, we aren't governed by the billable units model. So we can really have creativity be our best friend and create more personalized care for you. So,
That makes
obviously there's a trade-off there of having to fundraise or find, a way to make ends meet with an out-of-pocket paid program. But usually that give and take is going to come with more highly specialized and personalized care that's going to be curtailed a little more specific to your diagnosis than you would in a traditional model where they really are kind of boxed in with what they can give you and what they can do.
Thank you for that. It makes sense. It always felt so cookie cutter, but I never knew at the time like the intricacies of it, But it's
That's
100.
the insurance companies.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, Michaela, I just want to say hi. It's nice to see
Hi.
you. I think that staying driven or its model would be perfect for you as a start because not only is it a functional fitness kind of foundation, but the biggest part that people take away from it is the community aspect, right? So you're chatting with people of either your own age, different ages, different life stages, going through different things. And like I said, it's all different types of disabilities. And we have a few members that have very rare disabilities where they come into classes every single day just to feel like they have somebody that they're connecting with. And while, yes, I'm not a physical therapist and I will never claim to be a doctor, I have put a lot of time and a lot of effort into understanding human beings, right? Because your diagnosis, well, yes, it's a diagnosis, it's you, Michaela, it's you, how you feel, right? So how you feel on Monday might not be the same way how you feel on Tuesday. And you say, hey, Coach Steph, like I'm not feeling this right now. And we kind of pivot in that direction. So if it is something that could be helpful for you, there's a ton of resources on here, which I think is awesome. But I think one of the things that you might also be looking for is just that community connection. And if you're not able to get somewhere locally, you're able to hop on Zoom with your friends and kind of hang out, right? So I would definitely love to be able to connect with you. We can always chat, just share email back and forth, but I would love to just introduce you to the community and see if it was a good fit.
Cool. Thank you so much. Yeah. I've definitely learned more from like whether that's just like someone's YouTube video or someone I've met at sports. Like I've learned more from other people with, a disability than I have ever from like a physical therapist. So
yeah.
Yeah.
All the accounts as well are located. I posted them on the story today on Instagram, so you can follow all accounts on social media and look up their websites as well. So it's nice to have everyone together. Kat, do you have a question? I want to make sure we get them all before.
Yeah, I know we're running out of time here. Thanks, everybody, Kelly Brush, and also all the people here representing your organizations. This is great information. I have a 12-year-old daughter who 9 months ago at 11 had a spinal cord stroke, and so is now a T8 para. And so, as you guys all know, that it's a journey, right? And we're still pretty new in all of this. We also live in Vermont, and not up near Burlington, where everybody identifies as Burlington. That's not where we live. So we live about an hour and a half maybe from Burlington. And so we are in a place where not only do we not have resources where we can go in person to these things, but also just people have really, just no understanding of spinal cord injury. And thankfully, the people in the spinal cord injury community, that's where we've learned most of our information. It's just amazing. And I'm so grateful for it. So I was excited about this particular one because, Dan, what you said when you had your injury early on about feeling like physical therapy was working on your strengths and not your weaknesses, man, I really identified with that for my daughter. She, she's young, right? So we got that too on top of everything else. And my thing is, I want to help her get where she wants to go, right? I don't want to speak for her. We have a lot of conversations. We're pretty close. And I don't want to just go into I'm about an hour from Rutland. I'm in like a black hole zone. So I don't want to just go into a gym. And I love that some of you guys offer virtual stuff because a lot of times I'm like her biggest advocate, but I also need to step away and have somebody else kind of encourage her to do stuff because I'm mom, right? And so it's like, I don't want to do this kind of thing. But I guess what I'm saying is I'm going to look all of you guys up. I already have all your sites up online on another page, but I don't know if there are tips to like going in. She's got like, she asked to get barbells. So we got barbells, before that she was taking big jugs of water and that's awesome. I love that initiative. But then what do we do for her legs? Like, she's like, she's got one that's really, her right leg is pretty flaccid with very minimal movement. And her left leg is more spastic with minimal movement. And I hear her wanting more, but not either doing more or not. Same thing within PT, they're focusing on the stuff she can already do and expand on, mostly on her upper body. She's not great about getting into her stander. So there's things that she has responsibility for, and there's things that I think we could support her and encourage her to do, or I could, and PT could, to go further for more recovery for her legs. And whether that means walking, I don't know, nobody knows, whatever her potential is. And I guess I don't really know what my question is, but if you guys have any tips about how to go from there with a kid. She's about adult size, so she's um, that's kind of where and that's the other problem. She's 12 now, but so she's always in these pediatric programs, but she's not like, if I were to go back to physical therapy, we went to Spalding, I would say I would really push for her to be in the adult program. I feel like she missed out on a lot. Not anything to do with Spalding; they were amazing, but she's just in that middle zone in everywhere we go, and so I'm not really sure how to support more and get her what she needs, I guess is where I'm at.
Yeah, let's open it up, Kat. Thank you so much for sharing that. Does anyone have any suggestions or recommendations?
Kat, I just messaged you in the chat because I didn't want to interrupt and wanted to make sure I didn't message you, interrupt. But reach out to me because there's a functional fitness gym in your area, and I'm happy to kind of see if I might be able to talk and collaborate with them, see if they have any adaptive trainers who might be interested in working with y'all.
Can you just tell me what town you're thinking of? Gym?
I typed it in as you said it. Hang on.
I'm in Windsor, by the way.
Windsor. Okay.
There is like a small gym. I've actually thought about going to him and saying, hey, what's your experience? Probably not with this, but like, what would you feel about? But I think it would be more impactful coming from somebody who knew what they were doing.
Yeah. Is it near White River Junction?
Yeah, it's near White River. About 20 minutes from White River.
Okay. Yeah. We can connect offline if you want. We can chat via email, but a lot of sort of CrossFit trainers have some of the depth and breadth, and some have this adaptive training cert. So it's possible there's somebody there, but we can chat more if that would interest you. I'm happy to see how I can help.
Yeah, amazing. I'll put my info in the chat also.
Perfect. Yeah, and my email's in the chat for you as well.
I also know Pico, the ski mountain, it's like probably 45 minutes from Rutland area. I know that's a little bit of a drive too, but Vermont Adaptive and that Pico location is amazing. So
yeah, Vermont Adaptive, I really need to get a hold of them. They're on my list, and
if you want me to connect you with them, we work with them probably on a daily basis. So we're happy.
I think finding community is important because I am just an athlete. I go to a regular gym, and it's funny because I have upper strength, so my problem is in my lower legs, and my lower limbs. But I sit in that hand cycle, and then do everything on the upper body, and I'm trying to get probably better, but certain, I think in your case and your daughter's case, Kat, community, because that's very encouraging.
I think I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just want to say, sure. I absolutely agree with you, and that's another really hard thing we're having. If besides walking, I think one of her top things is just to meet people like her right now, and we just don't have that. We don't have that demographic here, and kids who are her age who are in wheelchairs also tend to have in our area other like cognitive disabilities, and that's fine, except that's not where she's at and doesn't identify with that. So we really just don't have a community where she can say, hey, I'm like you too, and I struggle too, and all that stuff. So I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, and I think from my perspective, because I basically started connecting with people probably a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. But you talk to one and they talk to the other, and then everybody starts connecting. It's Megan's comment about the skiing, for example. I do the downhill skiing, and it's really awesome. And once you find something that you feel passionate about, you try to find things, and you fight for it. Like to me, just playing sled hockey, for example, that sense of freedom when I'm on the ice, it's incredible. And your daughter's gonna experience that, and she's gonna then open up and look for other people who do things that she's interested in. I'm hoping that you will be able to find those connections.
Thank you.
Wonderful. It's so so nice to get conversations like this going, and especially with just how everybody really shared their expertise. It's nice for others to hear this as well. So thank you guys so much.
One
Yeah,
thing, sorry, can I just say one thing real quick? Kat, I messaged you after the shooting sports live on
Yes,
Instagram, but
I thought I
also
recognized you. Okay.
yeah, also spinal stroke. So I mean everything you mentioned about like just stuff being different, like side to side in the body, like I completely relate to all of that. So I mean I don't have the knowledge these people do, but like I said before, I've had to teach myself a lot, and it's definitely weird having like one side weaker, one side stronger. Sometimes it's like core, leg. It's not necessarily like one side. It's just it's different depending on from whether it's core or like lower body function that I do have, or even upper body. So yeah, I mean, I understand that aspect to it. Yeah.
Thank you. And this is why I try to come to these. Like I went, my first one was that shooting thing that we saw, where I saw you. It's just to start meeting people and just get, out there, because I can't do it physically. There's nobody really in our area that I know of. I'm sure there is. I just got to find them. So yeah, I appreciate you guys so much.
Well, that's the beauty of online things. It's sometimes a curse, but it's a blessing too. So happy to have you all here and connect from all across the country, and find that community. So we are just about time here, but thank you everyone so much for joining and for sharing. This was a really great discussion and really appreciate all of you.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you for having us.
Have a great night, everyone.
Thank
All
We
right.
post it on
you.
YouTube, so we'll share it with everyone. Thank you guys so
Yes.
much.
Bye, all.
Take
Bye.
care.
See you guys soon.
Diane, am I gonna stay with you guys?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Bye, guys. See you later.
Bye. Thank you so much for having me. That was so fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank
Hold on one
you.
second.